The desert doesn't care if you scream. The sun isn't just hot, it's hostile. It burns through your skin, blisters your lips, and turns every breath into punishment. You haven't had water in 2 days. Your tongue is swollen. Your feet are bleeding. The man beside you collapsed this morning. He wasn't helped. He wasn't mourned. He was left behind. Not because he died, but because he slowed the caravan. You're chained to 6 others. You don't know their names. You don't speak. You just walk. Across the Sahara, across hell. The air stinks of sweat, blood, and rot. You're worth less than a camel, and you know it. This isn't the transatlantic slave trade. There are no ships, no ports, no ocean. This is the Trans-Saharan route. One artery in a vast system that lasted over 2,300 years. Arab and Berber merchants raided sub-Saharan Africa for centuries, capturing men, women, and children. The journey across the desert could take 3 months. Half didn't survive. There were no chains below deck. Instead, there were caravans. Slow, brutal, and silent. Skeletons marked the trail. And when you arrived, you weren't free. You were inventory. You were weighed, priced, and sold. And the records? They hide something colder. Ziryab, the blackbird in a gilded cage. The name means blackbird. He was a cultural icon in 9th century Spain, a musician, a fashion innovator, a trendsetter. He introduced seasonal menus, toothpaste, and even the 3-course meal. He changed how people dressed, how they dined, how they lived. But Ziryab's rise wasn't just talent. It was built on a system. He was a freed slave, one of thousands brought from Africa to serve, entertain, and labor for the elite. His fame masked a darker truth. The cultural renaissance of Al-Andalus was funded by human trafficking. African slaves built the palaces. They served the feasts. They guarded the harems. Ziryab's music echoed through halls constructed by hands that would never be named. And while he thrived, others were castrated, concubined, or erased. The contradiction is sharp. A blackbird soaring above a cage built for millions. His legacy is celebrated. The system that enabled it? Buried. The markets that memory forgot. Zanzibar, Cairo, Baghdad. These weren't just cities. They were slave markets. In Stone Town, Zanzibar, underground chambers still exist. Carved from coral stone, they held up to 75 people in suffocating darkness before auction. Excavated ledgers from Cairo show children sold by weight. Not age, not skill, weight. Girls were priced higher. Concubines fetched double. Boys were often castrated to serve as eunuchs. The survival rate for the procedure, less than 10%. This wasn't fringe, it was institutional. The Sultan of Oman moved his capital to Zanzibar in 1840 to oversee the trade. Slave dhows sailed across the Indian Ocean, carrying human cargo to Persia, the Gulf, and beyond. Identity was a commodity. Conversion was discouraged. Silence was policy. And while the markets thrived, the elite lived another life entirely, one of poetry, science, and gold. The bones beneath their cities were never named. The Golden Age, built on chains. In Córdoba, scholars debated astronomy and etiquette. In Baghdad, poets recited verses about love and paradise. In Zanzibar, the Sultan's palace gleamed with ivory and clove wealth. Meanwhile, millions were trafficked in silence. The same empires that produced algebra and architecture also perfected human commodification. The irony is brutal. The golden age of trade and culture was built on a foundation of bondage. And unlike the Atlantic trade, this one didn't end with abolition in the 19th century. Saudi Arabia didn't outlaw slavery until 1962. Mauritania, not until 1981. Even today, the legacy lingers. In caste systems, in migration patterns, in silence. So here's the question. Why do we know so little about the longest-running slave trade in history? And who benefits from that silence? Subscribe, but more importantly, remember. Because history doesn't just repeat, it hides.